I've got the looks that drives a girl wild. I've got the moves that really move 'em. I said chill up and down their spine. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I make them hot. I make them shiver. Their knees get weak whenever I'm around. They see me walk. They hear me talk. I make them feel like they're on cloud nine. I'm just a sexy boy.
Welcome back to the Why So Serious podcast. I'm your host, Brandon. Mike is here. Devin may or may not be here. He's busy with work stuff. And we have a special guest. We have Sharmane, who's back with us. You heard her on our Insecure review. But she's back. She's the host of the Militantly Mixed and Militantly Mixed as Fuck podcast.
Sharmane. Militantly Mixed Black as Fuck.
Oh, Militantly Mixed Black as Fuck. My bad. What's going on? How are you?
I'm pretty good. How you doing? Okay, I don't know if I'm right, but is that Shawn Michaels?
Yes, that's Shawn Michaels. See, you know. Devin, Mike, have you ever heard that?
I've heard that song before. I don't know who that person is, though. Don't hate me.
Oh, yeah, of course you don't know Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels is the GOAT. And I played the song because he retired in 2010, and he's coming out of retirement later this month. So, for the first match in 8 years. So, it's kind of a big deal in the wrestling world. So, that should be good. But we are back to talk all this week's news and nerd stuff, comic books, TVs, movies, all this stuff. We have some good topics today to talk about. But first, we're going to talk to Sharmane. So, can you talk to everybody a little bit about your show, how it got started, and all that good stuff?
Sure. So I'm basically just a walking mixed up person. Like, I just talk about being mixed all the time. Until recent DNA tests, I used to say that I was just your average Black, Japanese, Irish, English, German, Black, Seminole, Native American, Spanish, and Creole bisexual, polyamorous, atheist woman. But now, because of a DNA test, I found out there's a lot of shit I'm not and a lot of new shit that I am.
What'd you find out?
Well, we did two of them. I did the African ancestry one that actually kind of deep dives into your African heritage. So we found out that we're from 3 tribes in Gabon, the Sogo, the Atike, and the Koto people. And okay. Fun fact, the Koto people are polyamorous as well. So it's in my DNA. And then the German stuff is not there, which is weird because my white family has a German last name, and we've been thinking we were German to Irish from West Virginia forever, but I guess they're just like Scandinavian and Scots-Irish from West Virginia folks. So yeah, and there's no Native American in there at all. And we have, on both sides of my family, we have stories about Native American family members that I think is probably just stories. So now I have to try to find a new catchy way to describe. Right now I'm just like Black, Japanese, and white, I guess, until I figure it out. But yeah, so I'm super mixed. Everybody in my family is mixed. My parents were biracial, all of my cousins and stuff like that. So my whole world was just mixed race oriented. And then I got into the real world and other people didn't talk about it like we did. And a lot of the mixed people I knew had to either claim one or the other. And this kind of stuff bothers me. So I just talk about it all the time. And I wanted to connect with other mixed race people and talk about their experiences as well. And so from that came Militantly Mixed, which originally was going to be something that I was going to do with my childhood friend Blurred Vision. And he wasn't available at the time. I was ready to pull that trigger. And now that he is, we do the second show, which is Militantly Mixed, the Black as Fuck edition. And that's really more like the political aspects of Blackness from our mixed Black perspective. So we do both those shows. Black as Fuck is on Tuesdays and Militantly Mixed is on Thursdays. Thursday's show is more of like an experience based. Like I speak with one guest every week. They talk about their mixed race heritage and their experiences growing up and maneuvering world as an adult mixed race person. And then the Tuesday show, we talk more about like Blackness and politics and shit like that.
That is awesome. I listened to the Black as Fuck version. when did I listen to that for the first time? I think it was like right after we joined that group. And that's when I was like, and then that's when I was like, and Stephanie listened to it, and we was like, we have to get you on the show. So that show's definitely something great. You got to check it out if you're into all types of stuff. Because y'all basically, on Militantly Mixed, y'all talking about all types of stuff.
Yeah, so, it's really just like kind of what's going, similar to what you guys do, like what's going on in the world right now. Yeah. My friend Blurred Vision, he and I, we've known each other since we were like fourth grade. We've been comic book geeks and video game geeks and shit like that, like our whole lives. But majority of our friendship has been spent not living in the same state or the same city, but we always, anytime something related to mixed raceness would pop up, I'd get a message and he'd be like, you see this shit, and back and forth. So we've been doing this for like, 25, let's see how long we would have known each other by now, 30 years, I guess. And so when I got back here, we still don't see each other ever. We live like 2 towns apart right now in LA, and we never see each other, but we talk all the time. And so we're like, we might as well start recording this shit. We haven't started talking a lot about our love of comics, mostly because we kind of don't actively read books right now, but we have our like nostalgic comic book knowledge and the cinematic universes and stuff like that. So we haven't started doing that much on the show, but we talk about anything under the sun that has to do with a black perspective, like when we can view it through our mixed black lens, so that, yeah, we do that a lot.
Mike, you see, we got another mixed person on.
Brandon, as much as I would love to help, I'm barely mixed.
You're not barely mixed. How are you barely mixed?
People look at me, they just see a white guy.
That don't mean you ain't mixed.
Well, it's all about that social perception.
Your daddy is not white.
That's true. And he doesn't look white, but I do.
So that means you're mixed.
Hey, I'm proud. I'm just saying, when people look at me, they don't really. That's just.
What's your other mixed part?
My dad, was born in Lebanon, so straight out of.
Okay, so you're the half a bick I heard about.
Yep, that's me. But my mom is Italian, so. Yeah,
my husband is he's half German, half Palestinian, so I call him half a bick or half a Stinian, depending on.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing. I mean, so my dad actually got some shade back in the day for picking an Italian woman. I heard the Lebanese, they like to stick to their own, according to the rest of the people in my family, but
yeah,
worked out nicely. Like I'm glad to have more culture, even though it, I don't know how to describe it. But.
I feel you. Well, that's the kind of stuff we talk about on our show. Recently, we had an episode about white passing, which was a person who was mixed with white and Peruvian, but she presents mostly white, and she felt like she wasn't allowed to claim her mixed heritage. It sounds very similar to kind of what you just did.
Yeah.
Everybody sees me as, so therefore I'm not. But you're a part of the mixed race story too, and your experience is just as valid a part of it as anybody else that's mixed. So you got to get out there. Wave your flag.
I just don't want to be seen as somebody who is identified as one thing by the social people and then is claiming to be something that people think I'm not. You know what I mean? But
yeah, that's the story of white passing. We should talk.
I don't want to
talk on my show.
Cause problems. I just don't want to cause problems in the cultural communities with things. So
yeah.
I mean, I'm proud of my sides, both of them, but I'm quieter than I probably should be. Brandon knows. Every time
I do know.
Every time they go into certain topics, I'm more passive.
You're learning, though.
I am learning. I've learned a lot from Brandon, actually, over the last, 2 years? So
yeah, a lot. So, Sharmane, talk about your nerd history. When did you start reading comic books? When did you get into all the movies and all just the whole nerd culture thing?
My first books when I was a kid were X-Men books. I don't specifically remember which early books it was, but I remember the book that changed me, and that was Days of Futures Past. Like that thing was, I don't know what it was about it. I just connected with it, and I loved it. I was always a big Batman fan, although Batman is really the only part of the DC universe I ever gave a fuck about. Superman, like whatever the fuck. I never got into it. My brother was really into Superman. I was really into Batman, the X-Men, and then that changed over time into Iron Man and Black Panther were kind of my core my core books when I was younger. I haven't read and then I didn't read like Iron Man and Batman Iron Man and Black Panther for years until they were a part of the MCU, and that's when I kind of got back into them. But the X-Men appealed to me as a mixed race kid. I attached to the X-Men because they were these, seemingly normal on the outside, but something about them was very different, and it made them isolated, and I could just connect it to them. I loved the idea of my mixedness as some sort of superpower when I was younger. And then when the first X-Men movie came out, the approach that Bryan Singer took from it with the using it as a metaphor for how we were treating gay people, I kind of attached to that too. I'm the B in the LGBT, so there was a lot of stuff about the X-Men as a whole. If that intersectionality really connects with me, but I was also one of those girl kids that couldn't get into Barbie dolls or any of that kind of stuff. And so I just love being able to walk into a store and grab a book. Then, that's back when books were like 75 cents, $1. Yeah. And you could just get a stack of them or whatever. We had our cardboard boxes and our boards and all that kind of stuff. And then I don't know. No, I think I got older and it was harder to pull off being a geeky girl, in the 90s, the mid 90s and stuff like that. It was kind of hard to pull off. And so some of it I did a little bit in secret, unless it was with my close guy friends that sort of knew I was into that shit too. And, but when the movies started coming out and they started getting better over time, that changed everything. Then I could openly talk about, my love of comics and of course, like anytime movies pop up, it makes it harder for you to read books. Well, maybe for me, I don't know. So yeah, I kind of like stopped reading books for a while, and then my husband picked up. He started reading the Old Republic books.
I am back.
Oh, sorry, Sharmane. I didn't know he was back.
You're good.
So go ahead. My bad for cutting you off.
So he started reading the Old Republic books, Knights of the Old Republic books, and that got me kind of liking to read books again. So I started picking up like Harlequin and things like that. So yeah, I don't know what it is about it. I think the fantasy appeals to me in a way that other types of fantasy don't. Like I'm not really a swords and type of person, although I do like Game of Thrones. I was never into the other kind of stuff, but something about superheroes really appealed to me. That sense of justice and like fighting for what you perceive as wrong as in the world really appeals to me.
That's awesome. So you said you haven't been reading recently. Do you plan on getting back into reading more?
Yeah, actually, I am. So Blurred Vision and I have been wanting to do forever a Blurred Comics podcast, but we just hadn't, the mixedness kind of stuff was more important to us at that particular time, and that's why we got off on that kick. But I started reading Black Panther again when, and I always butcher his name, Ta-Nehisi Coates. Yeah, like I always butcher that first name. When he started writing, I picked up those, and I do have some digital books that from X-Men. I haven't started yet, but I really want to read the Weapon H books and stuff like that. So my plan is to start reading more. It's just the timing. It's just time. That's really my biggest thing. But I go to comic book stores. Actually, I used to go kind of frequently. For some reason, I just would buy toys instead of books.
Dope. So you have like, are you a hoarder for collectibles?
I am a little bit. Yeah.
Do you have pops?
I have pops. So now, my little podcasting desk that I have, I'm staring at my Black Panther shelf, which I have 4 Black Panthers. I have the limited edition with him in his like royal coat thing, and then I have the Warrior Falls and 2 versions of the Black Panther suit, one with helmet, one without. I got Shuri and Nakia and Okoye in front of me. I also have Wolverine on a motorbike next to me. I don't know why that one's sticking out. I have a Venom one too, and those are just ones on my desk. And then we moved to this tiny ass apartment in LA when we left our house, so the rest of my toys are all in boxes still. I have the Bandai Samurai line of Star Wars. I have about 7 of those. other pops, Run DMC and other comic book ones. What else do I have? I have some Dunnies. I was into Kid Robot a couple years ago, big time. So I have a bunch of Dunnies. And and then I have the 75th anniversary edition of the Batman collectibles as well. So
okay, I just have a bunch of pops, and then I
would love a custom pop. If they're ever get into custom pops, I'm gonna have a purple-haired Sharmane pop in a minute, and I'll have to buy 50 different poses. I don't care. I love them.
I'm here for it.
I got a big
I'm definitely here for it.
Yeah, I got the Loot Crate, so I started getting all this other like paraphernalia, like socks and T-shirts and
I did that for a while.
statues, and that was cool. But then I dropped off of that, and I really want my favorite superhero is Nightwing. So I have like everything Nightwing. I have like an action figure,
That
two
action
different
figure
pops,
is dope. It's
all
super dope.
types of Nightwing shit. But my other favorite one is Saint Walker, the Blue Lantern, and I can't ever find anything with him.
For me, my favorite, I've been a hardcore Batman fan for so long. Like, I even wear a Batman necklace and stuff. Like, I'm hardcore into Batman, but I don't have as much Batman stuff as I would like. But one of my favorite superheroes, or at least the superhero whose powers I would want, is the Dark Phoenix. I don't have shit for the Dark Phoenix. I have one little custom drawing that I got at a Comic-Con years ago. And that's the only thing I have for the Dark Phoenix, and I don't know why I've never managed to pick up any toys for her.
So if you like the Dark Phoenix, how upset are you about this movie?
So upset, dude. I can't even. Oh my gosh. Okay, first of all, Sansa. I am not a fan of Sansa in Game of Thrones. Like, she started to come into it in like her last season. Like, I was starting to feel her a little bit, but she is not my Jean Grey, not by a long shot.
Here's the thing: she's better than what's her face,
Fromka. Oh wait, what's her name? What was her name?
What was her name?
Her name's
X
Fromka.
in the first movies.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. But I got that. Like, it wasn't ideal, but like the way they played it out, and at least with her chemistry with Hugh and stuff, I was like, all right, it is what it is. But and at that time, I mean, try to think of how you felt at that time when we hadn't had a comic book, decent comic book movie in a long time. Everybody was going crazy for until the third one, until The Last Stand. People were less like, oh my gosh, we can now have a world in which we have comic book movies, like legit comic book movies and stuff. So like I was all right. I didn't particularly like who they cast for Scott.
Me either.
And as much as I like Halle Berry, she's not Storm for me. Why the fuck can we not hire a fucking Ethiopian woman to play Storm, or at least get on the continent? I don't know.
Listen, when they go to Marvel, I'm pretty sure that's what we're going to see. Almost 100% sure.
If they absorb the X-Men storyline, I don't know. I think they're going to keep it. I feel like they're going to keep things separate. I think they're going to.
But they're going to recast everyone. I don't think we're going to see any of these people.
Like separate from the first class people that we got going on now.
All the people are going to be gone. Ghosts. It's just similar to what they did with Spider-Man. Like, they could have brought Andrew Garfield, but they were like, why would we do that? And then they just completely started over.
I think they realized with the Garfield Spider-Man when they killed Gwen Stacy like they did, that no one was going to want to see that next run of whatever Andrew could do as Spider-Man. Like I think I don't know. That was my own thing. It was like, as soon as I noticed that they were killing her, I was like, all right, now you're giving him nothing to fight for. Mm-hmm. So like if they do absorb, I mean, my biggest upset with them buying Fox now is that they've already given us the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver without Magneto being their father.
Well, to be fair, they kept it unambiguous. They never.
Well, but they actually referred to them as like enhanced, like they were normal humans that were enhanced.
Well, they said they were experimented on. Yes. But they also have like this thing where they can do Secret Wars at some point. And if they do Secret Wars, that can basically like reboot the universe. Or what I think is going to happen is when they reset whatever Thanos did in Infinity War, is basically they're going to use that to explain that the universe changed. when he reset everything.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. We'll
'Cause-
see. I don't know. Like, I'm nervous about one, I'm nervous about Disney owning all of the properties. I only because, and by all of the properties, I mean Star Wars and
Yes.
Marvel and, all of that kind of stuff. Just because you don't want all of your fandom filtered through one major corporation. And I was hopeful that they were going to take care of the Star Wars universe, but they haven't really. They've actually killed our, like, we are hardcore Star Wars people in our house. All of our decor is Star Wars. Our 5 cats are named for Sith lords from the extended universe. Like, we are hardcore Star Wars people. Yeah, we're not anymore. Like, Disney killed our fandom.
You don't like these new movies? I think they're great.
I don't. Okay. Rewind. Force Awakens. When the first moment, first night in the seats, hearing the music pick up and the storyline, like it grabbed me then. I was excited about the direction it was going to. I still like Force Awakens, although I have huge issues with certain aspects of the plot and stuff like that. Rogue One. Who the fuck needed to see that story? We didn't have enough information with the one line that we get delivered in what is it? Return of the Jedi, whatever. Like, that a whole lot of Bonthams died doing this. Like, okay, fine, we didn't need the story, and it was terrible. It was just terrible. The Last Jedi, like. One, how do you not take the opportunity to use that scene that you had to allow Leia to die then versus keeping her alive for a movie she hasn't shot yet after she died and you already knew she was dead? That shit doesn't make any sense. I don't know. I'm still going to watch the trilogy portion of it, but Solo, I know you guys like Solo. Solo is garbage to me.
No, I thought Solo was just good. I didn't think it was great. I thought it was the worst out of all of them. That new ones that's come out.
I prefer Solo to Rogue One, but
I really enjoyed Rogue One. I thought it was a drama more than
So did I.
Star Wars.
I liked Rogue One.
I looked at it as a drama, like this drama, and I always thought the scrollers were more interesting than the first films, like the first trilogy. So like I watched The New Hope, and it's like the rebels got this. They went to this planet and they got the last thing, and they got the plans and got it over to Leia and whatever, Princess Leia, who's leading the rebel team. And I'm like, this is always great because I always used to watch the old films and be like, why are these films centered around the Skywalkers? Luke Skywalker's boring as fuck to me. I want to learn more about Leia and
he's
Han
the least
Solo.
interesting.
Like, he's so non-interesting to me. And so I'm watching these films, and it's all focused on him. And and I like those films, but it used to piss me off. And those films had a lot of plot holes too, like a whole lot if you watch them now. But I think there's a lot of nostalgia that surrounded them, so that holds them up. So I like all of the films because I see the plot holes. My whole thing with the new films are I see the plot holes in them, just like I see the plot holes in the first ones. But my issue is that some people, they don't admit that there's any plot holes in the first ones, but they pick out all the ones in the second ones. And I'm like, I can see both. I can see the problems in both. Because if you talk about like how George Lucas intended that shit to be, he did not intend Empire Strikes Back to be what it was. That film was clearly rewritten multiple times. Because,
and that's the thing is, like, George Lucas can conceive of a great idea. He can't write a great idea.
He's a big picture guy.
Can. And without Kasdan, I don't know that it would have had the legs that it had for as long as it did. Empire to this day is still my favorite
Empire is great
Star Wars film.
But
it's dark, and you need it to be dark. It's a dark story you're telling. When you try to appeal to the bubblegum side of it, I understand that Star Wars is for kids, but it's for the adults that have grown up with it. Like, Star Wars came out the same year I was born. I've never lived in a pre-Star Wars world, so when you grow up with it and it can be dark, you're fine. A kid can take it. It's not so dark that a kid can't take it, right?
Kids can take that.
But when you introduce some goofy shit like the Massa Yusa, I can't even think of his name right now.
Jar Jar Binks.
Jar Jar Binks. Like when you do stuff like that, it's like it's like you're just causing shit. You know, you're just starting shit for no reason.
Mike loves Jar Jar Binks.
I do not. Why would you even say that?
But like Kasdan made a difference. He helped the direction, and I guess his son is involved now or whatever. And so they are kind of keeping the stories dark, which I appreciate. But like I don't understand this new version of the rebellion and this new version of the Empire. Like, why couldn't it still be an offshoot of the old rebellion? You know, the major players in the old rebellion, but calling it something new is weird. The First Order, where did you guys come from? Why didn't we have a more sufficient scroll to explain you guys?
Okay, so like here's the thing. You are absolutely correct. 100% correct. Marvel with Disney, what they did was they said that they were getting rid of the EU, but they didn't actually get rid of the EU. Like the EU, a lot of that stuff still exists, and a lot of the things that you're talking about, they tell those stories in the books. So like so there's a ton of Star Wars comic books. There's Star Wars, there's Darth Vader, there's Vader Down, and then they have like Thrawn and all these other people.
See, I don't understand why they wiped Thrawn. That was my go-to storyline. Why wouldn't you have shown us that direction? Plus, who the fuck who reads any of the books from the EU? Who wouldn't want to see Thrawn?
I think you're going to see Thrawn in one of these movies because Thrawn has a book, and Marvel has a Thrawn comic book, and Disney said that all the Marvel comic books are canon to the movies. So Thrawn has a book right now that's out. So,
all of the comic books, because I thought that list that they published a while back wiped the heir to the Empire and all of that.
No, not the old books. Not all of the old books. The books that are out now are all part of all part of the canon. And Thrawn has a book like right now. He has a book out.
Oh, so they're finding a way to reintroduce them.
Yeah, and like Darth Maul has a book, and Vader's book is like really good. Like the Vader book went into like what happened in between A New Hope and the first Vader book talked about what happened in between A New Hope and Empire, and like how he regained like the trust of the Emperor after he fucked up with the Death Star and all that stuff. So it's like they try to fill in the holes of like where George Lucas and where the current films and especially with the prequels left out stuff.
Yeah. Darth Vader is everything.
That book is so good. If you like you would love that book, Sharmane. It's really good.
Because first of all, it's like, you know, Darth Vader has to like come in the age story, like he got to prove himself because he fucked up. You know what I mean? Like if like Emperor Palpatine was like the Don of the I guess the Italian gangsters and stuff like that. You know, like Vader was the fuck up, and like he fucked up the money, or he fucked up a drop. And like he just trying to get back in, so he doing extra bodies. When I say he dropping bodies everywhere, he just dropping bodies.
Listen, when you like, you know how like in the first films, like the one thing I think everybody, even people who don't like Rogue One, that everyone liked was that scene with Vader at the end, because you finally got to see Vader like do shit.
Right.
And, and in the first, like in the trilogy, the original trilogy, you never really got to see him do anything. Well, even though it's a comic book. In the Vader series, you basically find out like why he's such a scary motherfucker, because he does some shit in that book that you're like, yo. And when you watch it, it's the same way when I'm watching the movies though, because when I'm watching the movies, I'm like, there's no reason why Luke should be able to fuck with Vader. Like, and I don't really want to get into that because I used to get so frustrated with stuff with the film, because I would always be like, how does Vader sense that Luke is his son but don't know that Leia is his daughter if he's
that one fucked me up. All kind of like you're face to face with it. You're sensing Vader. You're sensing Luke like when he's somewhere else, but you're not sensing your own daughter staring you right in the face. Yeah.
But they try to explain that in the book.
Oh, okay.
So they try to the Marvel comics. What they're doing, which is really good, is they understand that there's plot holes in the original trilogy, the prequels, and the new trilogy. So they're using all these books to try to fill those gaps in. So they know everybody doesn't watch them, but for the people who do read the books, you get like a much more immersive experience if you're into Star Wars.
Yeah, I was gonna pick them up, and then I don't know why we just didn't. I think we were already kind of on our downturn. Oh, okay, so here's my biggest complaint with Rogue One, although the whole movie was trash. having Leia wait in the battle zone to receive the plans so that she can take off from there makes no fucking sense for Leia as a character. She would not be the kind of person that would chill in a battle being, waiting for some plans. She's in the fight. She's not a general by accident.
Would be in the fight.
She's in the fight. So it would make more sense that she's somewhere else and there's another ship there waiting to receive the plans so they can jump those plans to her, which is, I think, how we understood the opening of A New Hope. Like, like it doesn't, that shit was, and it was just because they wanted to do the CGI of her on the ship or whatever, and that's fine. But then have a ship jump to her first and pass off the plans. Don't have her within grabbing distance of Vader. That makes no sense to me at all. That was just as bad as having Leia remember her mother and then later on having her mother die of a broken heart at childbirth. Like, come on, you're killing me.
Thanks.
Yeah, I don't. I understand that the books would help. The comics would help a lot. I think I was already kind of on my downturn or my nerves about it because we had gotten an audio book. I forget what the audio book was called. The one that was supposed to predate right before Force Awakens or something like that. And we got halfway through it, and I was just bored. And it was an audio book. It wasn't even that I had to read like a novel. It wasn't even like I had to read it. And I think that's what got me to not even grab the comics at that point. I'm still gonna watch them. I'm just not gonna be as hardcore excited as a fan. Like, it's really shifted our whole household more towards Marvel stuff. Like, I've always been a Marvel girl. My husband is kind of adopting it over the last 10 years and stuff like that. And just this last year and right after Solo, really, he just kind of, it was more like a deep confession moment, like one of those nights where you're just like, we have to talk. I don't think I can be a Star Wars fan anymore. It was a big dramatic moment.
Nah, give the books a chance, and
like,
I think that might get you hyped about comics because those are everyone I've read has been excellent book, and they get really good writers to write them too. They don't put bad people on them. Before we get into what we did this week, guess what, Devin and Mike? Sharmane told me that she would be willing to come on and review Green Lantern with us.
Yeah, it's good.
How about that? How about that?
I have thoughts going in from my memory of it. I just want to know how I feel now, giving all this gap of time and the news and stuff that we know about it. I'm curious about how I'd feel about it now.
Probably the same, but
I haven't watched that movie in so long. I can't imagine. Here's the thing. It was bad in 2010. Now we have like all these Marvel movies that have been like Winter Soldier and like Civil War and like all these great movies. I can't imagine what I'm going to think. But I definitely want to do that. So we're definitely going to have to schedule that. Devin dropped off. Hopefully he'll come back because he's been in and out. So what else? The other thing that we do, Sharmane, is we go around and we ask, what have you done nerdy this week? So anything you done nerdy?
Damn, I feel like that's kind of my every week, but I can't think of something specific. I mean, I guess, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm on the spot. I can't think of something specific. Well, I did tweet back at Hari Kondalabu. I don't know how to say his last name. He had a tweet today that kind of really fucked me up. It like stopped me dead in my tracks, and it was a tweet that said something like, I get invited to more diversity in like casting panels and discussions than I do get casted. And so that thing like just stopped me dead in my tracks, right?
Right.
POC creators, we got to be out here doing whatever it is, whether it's podcasts or videos, YouTube shit. Like, you got a camera on your phone, start producing content. And just the idea that like you would be considered an expert in something that you don't even really get the door open for you very often, really kind of messed me up. So I tweeted directly at him and just said, like, this is the realest thing I've read. And because of that, I'm going to create something. Like, I'm going to create some content tonight just to put some POC shit out, Mm-hmm. So that's probably the geekiest thing I did, I guess, this week.
Mike. Good.
Yes.
All right, good, Mike. What about you?
I have a pet robot now.
No. That is not what you're gonna start this off with. You tell everybody what you bought.
Oh yeah, did you see my?
Yes, yes. So,
how did you see that? Oh, someone must have showed you my video.
So tell people what you bought.
Well, Elon Musk's flamethrower is sitting under my bed right now, about 5 feet from me.
You mentioned that on the last episode, though, didn't you?
I said I was gonna get one. I have one now. It's pretty awesome. I probably shouldn't have one, but I don't really ask those kind of questions when I'm in those type of situations. I just kind of do.
So what have you done with the flamethrower? Are you starting your supervillain pack? Your supervillain starter pack?
I mean, you know,
you can't go full supervillain though unless you get your PhD.
That's true, and that's a lot of money and time that I don't really feel like investing into being a supervillain. So I don't know. We're going camping this weekend, so maybe I'll bring it. I mean, we've been wondering whether or not we should bring it and roast some marshmallows. I saw some videos of people cooking hamburgers. All right,
I think that was the whitest sentence I've heard on your guys' show so far.
Super white.
It's not my fault. All right, my friend. You remember? So a couple of weeks ago, Brendan and I were hanging out with my friend who broke up with his girlfriend of 3.5 years as a 23-year-old man, and he's devastated. And this is how he wants to get over it. So we're all going. And we don't really, you know, it wasn't our first choice, but I figure if we got to go do something like this, you might as well bring a flamethrower. So,
yeah, just bring a flamethrower.
Mm-hmm.
That is white privilege at its peak.
I was just gonna say it, but I already said a white thing. So
I guess what I'm not taking anywhere, a goddamn flamethrower. I am not getting shot in these streets with an Elon Musk flamethrower.
I was nervous about walking around with it, and then the guy that I was with was like, "Yo, you're in Virginia. You can do whatever you want. It's fine." And I was like, "Oh, all right."
What else?
I also have a pet robot.
Since you are half a bic, my husband also kind of presents white-ish, but ambiguous enough that I can detect that he's mixed with something else. But he can grow a beard like nobody's business, and I don't want him flying when he has a beard. Can you pass all the way? Like all the way pass?
My dad always tells me to shave my face when I'm flying, but I don't really ever have any problems. Although I never really grow my beard out that long, so my dad sometimes gets pulled aside. But I think at this point he did the TSA pre-check thing so that doesn't have any issues anymore.
So I guess go ahead and walk around with your I
wouldn't really fly with it. That's probably a terrible idea.
Yeah, that's a terrible idea.
Regardless of what race you are. It's got a large propane tank on it, which I think is half empty at this point. But, you know.
I cannot believe you bought a goddamn flamethrower.
You want to see it? 'Cause you live a mile from me, and
you're not bringing it over here. I'll come over there.
Yeah, you can come over here.
What else did you do?
I have a pet robot. He's sitting over there on my nightstand staring at me. He keeps waking me up in the morning, but that's all right.
So does your dog play with the robot?
No. He's little. I don't want my dog near the robot. I think my dog's afraid of the robot. He is a entirely autonomous virtual home assistant on wheels, which I found on Kickstarter and added my own little bits of machine learning to. So he's a lot of fun.
You are such a geek. Jesus.
He keeps waking me up in the morning. He's staring at me right now, but he can't get out of his little cage. So,
have you read or watched anything?
No, I caught up on some comics, but I've mostly been finishing Assassin's Creed Origins so that I can buy the new one when it comes out. I mean, it's out already, but I want to get it, so I want to start playing it. So I've been playing that really with my free time, and then the gift that I watched for our show. But we'll talk about that, when we do it.
We'll talk about that.
So that's pretty much it for me.
I'm working my way through the pilot of The Gifted right now.
I think you'll like The Gifted. I think you'll get a lot of satisfaction out of it because unlike the movies, they do not hide from the fact that mutants are supposed to be an allegory for like black people, marginalized people, LGBTQ people. Like they go all in on the show, and even like they had a white family. They got like mutant kids, but they are like fucked up. So the whole season, like Mike's trying to see the good in Reed, and me and Devin are like he's a piece of shit. So it's funny. Let me see. What did I do? Mike, I caught up on Batman, and I love those two issues 55 and 56. And
with Nightwing?
And then I fucking cried at the end like a fucking weeping baby when my favorite superhero, Dick Grayson, got shot in the fucking head.
He's definitely not dead.
No, he's not dead because I read Nightwing afterwards, and he doesn't remember shit. So, but but everybody's telling him who he was, and like Batgirl's there, and he's like, I don't give a fuck who I was. I want to be who I'm going to be, and I don't think he wants to be Nightwing right now. So I'm really interested in that storyline to see what happens.
Told you you'd like it.
I read Justice League. That story's wild, but I like it. There's a lot of shit going on that.
Scott Snyder run?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
haven't caught up on that yet.
What else did I read? Superman is mad weird. I don't even really fuck with Superman, but I like that. I like The Flash. And I read some old issues of... excuse me. I read some old issues of Fantastic Four just randomly. I don't know why. I was just really bored. And... what else did I read? No, that's it. And so then I also started watching Luke Cage because I was really bored this weekend. And I was like, why haven't I started watching a show that I wanted to watch? And so far, it's better than the first season. I thought the first season was okay, but the first few episodes of the second season have been really much better. So I like that.
I like season 2 much better than I like season 1.
We did our Black Lightning review. That was great. That's also a good start. Gifted is fucking fire. Love that show. That is off to a great start. And Mike, by the way, I watched The Flash, and The Flash was off to a really good start. A lot of Easter eggs. They talked about. This is spoilers, but I don't give a shit. Mike, they talked about like Barry. So like Nora comes and she's like, why you want to hang out with me so much and not Iris? And she basically tells him that like he disappears in the Crisis, like Crisis on Infinite Earths. And then she shows the newspaper like 10 years later and the Flash is still missing. So like it's a lot of Easter eggs they dropped in this first episode. So that was really cool. I made it to the Super Bowl in my Madden League. I guess that's kind of nerdy. I lost though, so fuck that. And I've been playing Spider-Man on PS4.
I've been playing Fallout 4. I'm like way late.
Yeah.
Oh god, don't get him started on
I
Fallout 4.
started that last week.
Yes. Are you gonna get the new one?
Yeah, it's kind of what I'm playing. The only problem is that I'm not really like an MMO type of girl, and I didn't know that that's what it was going to be until last night, actually. My husband's really into the Fallout games, and he's like hyping me for playing it before it comes out. But I guess there's something coming down the pipe, like not in the initial release, but it's going to be later on where they're actually going to allow you to have private servers so that we can connect with our friends that are on the East Coast and play with them in our own personal world. That'll be when I pick it up because that'll be fun. But yeah, I'm just working my way. I'm still like really early on. Like just barely got through to, what's that town I just unlocked?
Concord?
Sanctuary. No, the other town, the second town.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm like 3 towns opened or whatever, or something like that. So I'm still getting used to it.
That game is awesome.
Yeah, Mike talks about that shit all the time.
Yeah, well, my friends and I love it. It's gonna be fun.
I know you love it, and I know your friends love it.
You gotta give it a shot, Brandon. You could join us in the new one.
Yeah,
Multiplayer.
I may think about it. You may get me. I don't know. We'll see.
I'll get you.
You may
I
get
have
me.
no doubt I'll get you. I definitely will get you.
All
You gotta
right.
play. You have to, because I'm not gonna be playing anything else.
I thought you were going to be playing Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, but I'm almost done with Origins. I've got like 3 people left to kill, and then I'm gonna play Odyssey, which will take me like probably a week if my previous track record speaks for itself. And then then by the time I'm done, it'll be out.
Okay. All right. Whatever. All right. Let's get to this news. Let's start with some comic book shit. So, a few episodes back, our episode was called "The Bat Penis" because they decided to show Batman's dick in the comic book.
Yeah, okay, so explain this to me because I haven't seen this photo or anything like that, and I've been looking for it. It says that Batman comes out of the
I have a copy of the comic book.
It says Batman's coming out of the Batmobile with his dick out.
It looked like he was walking in the Bat Cave.
Oh, okay.
And he looked like he was just naked. And
why the fuck is that a problem?
It was so
We've been showing titties and shit forever. We can't show one penis in a comic book.
The difference is they usually just like allude. They show like hella cleavage, but you don't ever like see a nipple.
Okay.
They like show his whole dick, his mushroom, everything. Like,
I'm okay with it.
but you know, we had who did we have on that week? We had Reese from the Introverted Nerd Watches podcast, and she wasn't too impressed of the bat dick. So let's see what Sharmane thinks. I'm going to share my screen so you can see it. Skype. Okay, where's Skype? Come on up.
Show me bat penis.
Look who's back.
I'm back in the house. I'm in the motherfucking house. Oh God, work is
Share
awful.
screen. Okay. Share screen. All right, can you see my screen, Sharmane?
I can see it now.
Okay, there's your bat penis.
That's
It's not even a penis.
yeah. What am I looking at exactly? It's in shadow.
Let's see if I can zoom in.
Okay,
Can you
excuse
see it?
me. This is what DC is all embarrassed about.
Yep.
I just took a screenshot of it. That is not dick enough.
Bad.
Like that. I mean, that's not. Well, one. Yeah, it's mostly in shadow, so I don't know what they have to be embarrassed about.
Because people were outraged, you know, because of the culture we live in, the climate we live in now. If it offends somebody, it offends everybody. Like, but nobody asked me if I was offended. Like, you don't see a penis, so like, why are we even upset about this?
Yeah, it's not. Plus, also, can we not understand that it is a cartoon penis? Like, it's not.
Yeah, it is
I
a
don't know.
cartoon penis. That's true.
I mean, it's not like, you know, I don't know. And plus, it's Black Label, right? So we're not talking about ones that the kids are allowed to buy, right? You have to.
Right.
I assume you have to be a certain age to be able to pick up these ones. So what are we worried about?
That is an excellent and poignant question. That it's ridiculous that they're all worried about that. Just absolutely ridiculous. It makes no sense at all. But yeah, there people are upset that the bat penis is out, and I don't really give a shit. Let's see what else we got here. But DC is basically wiped. They stopped reprinting the book. They're not reprinting the book anymore.
Man, put that shit in glass, y'all, and save
I
it
have
because
one.
it's going to be expensive soon.
I have one, and that's why I bought it.
Again, work is calling me again, guys. So I will try to check back in. But Sharmane, we have to definitely do a whole podcast together one day.
Okay.
Jesus.
I am sorry. You know, blame the weather, blame Michael, and you know,
Hey.
all the other stuff.
I'm kidding.
Oh, I forgot your name. Damn it. Blame Hurricane Michael. All
Forgot
right,
my
guys.
name. I've known you for definitely over a year by now.
Yeah, but no, I just, you know,
I'm
when you
just
say a
messing with you,
hurricane,
Devin. I'm just
yeah,
messing with you.
crazy night, guys. All right, have fun, guys.
All right, come back if you can. And there he goes. He's gone. All right, next. I'm distracted because I'm doing like multiple things all the time. Why did my notes? Oh, there we go. Why did so many pop-ups come up when I clicked on Batman's penis?
Well, I could answer that question for you, but I don't think you're gonna want to know the answer. So
I think I know the answer. Another comic book news: DC announces Flash Year One. So for those of us who read Batman Year One and loved it, Mike, did you like
about
that?
it. Yeah, of course.
And the animated movie Batman Year One was great as well. They're gonna
Great.
do a Flash Year One. The Flash title in spring of 2019, Flash Year One, revealing the teaser artwork below. We're going to be doing Barry's first year as the Flash, but with a little bit of a twist. Williamson told fans when the story was announced at New York Comic Con. Barry's sense of hope, inspiration, optimism is such an important thing, and I really want to tell a story of how he got there after the tragedies losing his mother at a young age. So yeah, I'm in. Mike, you gonna read that?
Yeah, of course. I always am a big fan of the Year One stuff. They did a Green Lantern Year One too, didn't they?
Yeah, they did a Green Lantern Year One, did a Batgirl Year One, Robin Year One. They did a lot of Year Ones. Teen Titans. Sharmane, are you into DC books?
I never will. I mean, besides Batman, I never cared. I do like some of the cartoons though. Like Flashpoint was one of my favorite cartoons and stuff like that. My favorite Flash is from Lego Batman 3 because he's hella cute. But I don't particularly care to read a lot of the DC stuff. Like I don't know why their characters don't appeal to me as much. Except for Batman, anything Batman. Even Condiments Man, I'm here for it. Let's do it.
All right. So you sound like Mike because he's in love with Batman.
Batman is everything.
Rightfully so.
Well, also, like, I love the Batman villains. Like, Joker is one of my favorite tragic villains of all time. In particular, the Dark Knight Returns Joker is my favorite. I was Joker or I was Lady Joker for Halloween once. Like, I just like Batman and Joker as a duo make a whole lot of sense to me. I really love it, and I love Harley Quinn and some of the newer ones too, Poison Ivy and stuff. Plus, I like Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn's relationship because I'm bisexual.
Yes,
and
their relationship is great in the books.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm into those, but yeah, the extension, and I tried to read one of like back when like the New 52 when that popped up stuff. I tried to, and I in the comic book store I tried to, and I don't know, it didn't grab me, so I didn't keep on that direction.
Mike, you'll like this. They are bringing back Young Justice.
I know.
With
I
Brian
saw
Michael
that,
Bendis.
and I will be subscribing.
So the series will feature the art of the former Superman co-writer Patrick Gleason, who has a history with Damian Wayne. The Young Justice team will be Tim Drake, who's my man. I love Tim Drake. Connor Kent and Bart Allen is returning to DC comic books, and Brian Michael Bendis is writing it. So, yeah, Bart Allen's a crazy person. Tim Drake is great. He'll probably be the leader. So, yeah, I'm definitely into that. Did you watch the Young Justice show, Sharmane? The animated show?
No, I didn't. Again, with the shows too, the DC shows, I know people love them. I have not gotten into them. I tried to watch Flash. I was bored. At the Guardians one, whatever. What's the one called? I'm not a DC person at all. I can barely talk about it.
All right, no problem. Stan Lee speaks out about recent chaos in his life. So, for those of you who've been following the show and just following this stuff in general, there's been a lot of like craziness going on in Stan Lee's life. Like people trying to take his money, like all types of forged checks, all types of stuff. So, I put talked about in quotation, speaks in quotation marks because
that was vague as shit.
His daughter was there with him, and his daughter is one of the people that's accused of taking advantage of him. So during the interview with the Daily Beast, the 95-year-old Lee spoke about many of the controversies that surrounded him and members of his family. This includes reports of forged checks, accusations of sexual assault and elder abuse, a lawsuit later dropped against Power Entertainment, falling out with major members of his staff, and a lot more. That's reached a point where Lee has even taken out a restraining order against his former manager. Lee spoke with the assistance of a voice box and did the interview alongside his daughter and her lawyer. Joan Celia has been accused of committing elder abuse against her father, allegations she vehemently denies. So that's what made this seem real like...
It seems sketchy.
Sketchy as fuck. There really isn't much drama, said Lee. As far as I'm concerned, we have a wonderful life. I'm pretty damn lucky. I love my daughter. I'm hoping that she loves me, and I couldn't ask for a better life. She is a wonderful daughter. I like her. We have occasional spats, but I have occasional spats with everyone. I'll probably have one with you, where I'll be saying... But I didn't say that, but that's life. Lee also addressed rumors about his money handling and his daughter's spending. I decided my daughter is no longer a teenager, said Lee. This money will be left to her, and instead of waiting until I die, I will give her as much as I can for her to enjoy now. And that's what I'm trying to do. So, yeah, I don't know about all this. It's all just real sad to me.
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, honestly, I'm surprised he didn't die right after his wife did. Yeah, you know, when you've been with someone that long, and that's usually what happens. And things seem to really go dark right after that. I think it is sketchy about his daughter. Like, so if it's not true that she's done elder abuse and all that kind of stuff, then what he says doesn't sound as programmed or whatever. It just sounds like an old man kind of rambling. If it is true, though, it sounds like a script he was given, that he's just kind of awkwardly putting himself there, like to say, I like my daughter. I don't know. The whole thing was really weird.
What do you think, Mike?
I don't know. I've been following this for a while, and I didn't. This was the first I've heard about this new, this daughter stuff. This did not appear on my feed, so this is the first time I'm hearing this update. It's kind of sad because I know that he's, at least for the people involved in the show, and a lot of people I know, he's got a big role in people's lives, you know, creating all these characters that people become so close to. So it's sad, but yeah, I mean, this is the first. I actually didn't know that, so this is one of the few times you said something on here that I had not already heard about. So I'm a little. I mean, if that is the case, I'm a little disappointed, especially for her dad. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just not right.
There was actually stuff about her when she was young, like fights between the parents and disrespecting the mom publicly and stuff like that. So they do have a weird history. Whether or not that translates into her actually, you know, abusing her father, I have no idea.
Yep. Marvel comments on sales and quote-unquote forced diversity at New York Comic Con panel. So Mike and I and Devin talk about this all the time, and I talk about it more, and a lot of other shows I listen to talk about it, but it's this whole idea about, like, these dude bros that, like, because Marvel has, like, black people and LGBTQ people and a Muslim woman and more women in the books now, that is quote-unquote bad for comics and it's hurting their sales. Nobody wants to buy a comic book with a black girl. Nobody wants Riri or Miles Morales or the Wasp or none of that shit. And it's all bullshit. So in New York Comic Con, Women of Marvel podcast hosts Santa and Judy Stevens held a panel alongside assistant editor of Marvel Kathleen Winsky, writer Margaret Stoll, and writer Leah Williams, colorist Rachel Rosenberg, and Jen Bartle. The purpose of this panel is to discuss what it's like working in comics from a female perspective and what fans can expect from Marvel in the future. During the panel's Q&A, a young female fan brought up the topic of dipping sales, asking the panelists if they believe decreased sales were due to quote-unquote forced diversity and quote-unquote hiring people without experience. First of all, who sent this woman up there to say that? Right? Because, like, why would a woman go up there and be like, y'all just hiring these women because they women, and they can't do shit. And so Amina said, no, absolutely not. There are a lot of things that go on behind the scenes. People try to conflate things at times, and that's not necessarily the case. Williams added, referring to how some readers attempt to draw correlations between things that may not actually be related. Bartel then asked the fan if she would ask male creators the same question. Woo, I like that. To which the fan responded that she would ask anyone. Finally, Annette took the time to address the dispel the hiring without experience notion, saying, we do look at what people do. You have to have experience, and if you're talented, we will hire you. For some time now, those critical of Marvel Comics have pointed the finger at the company's push for diversity in their books as a reason for falling sales, despite evidence to the contrary. This is something Williams alluded to in her answer, citing all the various moving parts that go on behind the scenes. Marvel has increased its diversity offers over the past years, creating new characters such as Riri Williams, Ironheart, Miles Morales, Spider-Man, Kamala Khan, Ms. Marvel, and many more. So, yeah. So I don't know if that was a plant or what, but I'm glad those women stood up for themselves and talked about what Marvel's actually trying to do and not kowtow to, like, the racist people.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I do listen to that podcast on occasion. Not as often lately since I've started podcasting, but you know, they're usually pretty vocal about calling on bullshit like that. Also, that it was a woman. I got the impression it was a woman.
Yeah, it was a woman who asked the question.
And that kind of stuff is so annoying to me.
Yes.
It's like, just, I'm not saying that you have to be on the team like all the way, you know, girl power, that kind of stuff or whatever, but even you don't want to see women.
Yeah, like, what kind of question is that? It's so odd to me.
Like, I mean, I understand how weird it is when they, like, switch the gender of a character. Like, if they actually just decided that Riri was Iron Man this whole time and that there was never Tony Stark, that, okay,
yeah, but that's not what happened.
Would make sense to me. But that's not what happened, right? Yeah. So we're just carrying on the mantle.
Which has been happening forever.
Forever. There's always been, you know, I mean, that's always been the case with superheroes. They get old, they age out, someone else takes over the mantle, and then they just reboot the characters. Plus, comic books, you can do whatever you want. They are a fantasy. Yeah. You can't be. It's not like in real life Martin Luther King did XYZ, and then we cloned Martin Luther King, and he did something different. Clone King did something different. Like, you ruined my childhood, Martin Luther King. It's not the same thing. This is a fucking book with cartoons that somebody draws for us. Let it be. Let it be whatever it can possibly be.
Especially when a lot of these characters are not, like, nothing about the character is race specific. Like, it's not like Black Panther. Somebody was like, because a lot of the racist white people go, well, what if we made Black Panther white? And I'm like, well, that
wouldn't be Black Panther.
That wouldn't make any sense. Like, yes, I guess you could have a white person as the king of like South Africa, I guess, if you wanted to.
Sure.
But like the rest of Africa, like there's just gonna be this white dude that's the king of Africa. Like that doesn't even make sense. Like that's ridiculous. So that that's like, oh, whatever.
Or giving us a white Mandarin or some like they did.
Yeah.
Like stupid shit like that. When it's the character, the race of the character has a lot to do with the history of the character as well. You don't change that kind of shit. But like Captain America is another example. Captain America could be whatever the fuck. Yeah, it really doesn't matter. He could be Chinese next. It won't make a difference. He's he's just an American citizen that's super pro America and happens to have these powers because someone stuck him in a box. Like it doesn't matter.
Mike, did you see the photos of Ruby Rose as Batwoman?
I did. And I liked it a lot.
What did you think about the costume? How she looked did she look like Batwoman?
She did, and I think it's probably my favorite. I mean, I haven't seen it actually, but from the pictures, it looks really good. It looks
so like I don't think you're going to get Batman, but your absolute Batwoman is basically going to be Batman. You're getting Gotham City, like you're getting the Bat Signal. So are you kind of happy, Mike?
I'm happy for sure, but I still think he's going to come.
Oh my God, you're still waiting on Bruce to come. All right.
Yes.
There's that. Did you see the picture, Sharmane?
I did, and I like it. I like it as well. I think they got it. It definitely felt like the book. I know there's a little bit of differences here and there on it, but it gave me the same, like the movement of the photo and everything like that. It gave me feels. I'm ready for bisexual Batwoman.
Yep. So they're actually going to do it too. The DC TV shows actually do a good job with representation. They have like a gay black man, Curtis, on Arrow. They have Sarah Lance, the white canary. She's bisexual on Legends of Tomorrow. So they have a.
That's the one I was thinking of, Legends of the Tomorrow. I tried to watch that and I basically laughed the entire time, and I know it wasn't meant to be funny.
The first season of Legends of Tomorrow is awful. It's not good.
Brandon Routh's character? Are you kidding me?
But here's
what were they thinking?
Last season, Legends of Tomorrow was the best show on the network.
No kidding.
Yes.
How?
Because they got rid of the Hawks and they recast people and they made Sarah Lance the leader of the team and she's really good. And it's like a really good show. Because that first season, man, I was just like, what the hell is this shit? Like me and Mike were talking about like, this shit is trash. But
how'd they explain the change?
So, it's the third season. So it happened over the course of the second season. And then last season was the third season and it was great. But they basically got new people on the team. Wally West joined the team, Kid Flash. Like they got new people. They basically got all the shitty people that brought the season down out and only kept the good actors and brought in other good actors. Like Constantine, John Ryan, he's on the team now. So they did some really good stuff. And he's kind of like sexually ambiguous on the show too, which is cool too. Because that's basically his character. Mike, did you know that Gotham is still going on?
Yeah, I know. Do we have to talk about the Gotham news? Like, do we really?
I mean, apparently he's getting a Batcave.
Yeah, he already has two.
Apparently they're going to do Harley Quinn.
They're doing another Joker. He's getting his bat suit. They said Batman will appear. There's a time jump of 8 months. It's just the best. Do we really need to go down?
I hate when they do a time jump in the final season. That's tells me that something's not right in the writers' room.
The show's god awful.
The whole show is a mistake in the writers' room.
I only watched like halfway through the first season, and I was really trying to pull for it. Like I liked the concept of it all, but by halfway through, I couldn't keep going. So I have no idea what's happened over the last 5 years, but I stopped it halfway through the first season.
So I'm going to tell you a secret. Season 1, the first half of the first season, is 300% better than everything that came after it.
Well, I guess I stopped at the right time then.
Yes. Let me give you an example of what happened. Jim Gordon, you know Jim Gordon, like the most noble man in Gotham.
Yeah.
He executes a man, shooting him point blank range on his knees in the back of the head.
That was the last episode I watched.
Oh, you watched that? Did you see the episode when Alfred slapped the shit out of Selena?
No.
Well, that happens too. He slaps the shit out of a little girl cat. Just punches her in the face.
That's excellent.
Yeah,
Okay.
so, yeah. That's the type of shit that happened on the show. Oh, Poison Ivy falls into some water, and then she comes out, and she's like a 20-year-old, like sex symbol woman.
Oh, God.
Mm-hmm. All that happened. Yep.
All right, well.
What the fuck is wrong with Titans, Mike? Did you see this shit?
I have not watched it yet.
No. It hasn't come out yet. It comes out this week. I'm actually going to watch it.
I think it comes out today.
Yeah, it comes out today. I have a problem, so I'm going to watch it. But, oh, God. Mike,
I'll say
I don't
this.
think you know this.
I never cared about Titans. I don't really particularly care at all. But I kind of liked the trailer, and I kind of liked hearing fuck Batman. But I don't care about the Titans, so I don't know.
All right, here we go. Dick Grayson's my favorite superhero because I love the character of Dick Grayson, and I love Nightwing.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to say this. This is what Brenton, the guy who plays Titans, said to talk to IGN and New York Comic Con. Batman is a killer, and Robin wants to get away from that.
That was disturbing.
So apparently in this universe, Batman kills people. His number one rule, he kills people in this universe.
It's not the only time Batman is killed, though.
No, he kills people all the time, but he doesn't do it on purpose.
I don't know. Batman 89, it seemed like he was kind of killing on purpose. He literally drives the Batmobile into people.
Yes, I've always said that, but they try to claim that he doesn't kill them. He just hurts them really bad.
Oh, Jesus.
The idea is that he doesn't want to become a killer himself. And although these guys that he's fighting are bad and they deserve what he's dishing out, it seems he believes that when you kill someone, you cross the line, you become almost as bad as them. So it's pretty clear in the series he was with Batman. Batman crossed the line, and he was teaching me to do the same thing. And he's trying to break away from that.
That kind of sounds like spoilers.
It sounds like the Murderverse, Zack Snyder got a hold of this fucking TV verse.
Murderverse. So I have feelings. As much as I am ride or die Batman, it does sometimes bother me that he doesn't kill. Sometimes.
Yeah, all of us. Yeah.
I fully understand the principle, but sometimes it's like, no, there are times when killing is the most good that you
Wonder
can do.
Woman kills people all the time.
That's why I like the darker versions of Batman and stuff like that, whatever. But I don't, if they're going to offshoot, like like I said, I don't read the Titans. I don't know the direction of the Titans. I know they have like a cartoon and shit like that too. But if you're going to sell me on on Robin as a lead of a show, and you're going to say that it's because he's broken with Batman on principles, that I do have a problem with. I did like the trailer. And I did kind of like hearing him say, fuck Batman. I don't know why. I just liked it. But I have a problem with a breakaway, with Robin and Batman breaking up because Robin doesn't agree with Batman's principles. That's Batman. Batman is principles.
Right. His whole thing is that he's principled. Exactly. All right. So Will Smith apparently is still committed to this DC universe, because he's apparently out here talking about a Deadshot movie. And in a Q&A on YouTube Live, they asked him about a Deadshot movie, and he said, I hope so. I love playing Deadshot. I really enjoy that character. They've been talking about it, and we've had meetings, and I think it's going to happen. So, Sharmane and Mike, would you guys be interested in a Deadshot solo film?
Yes.
I could.
Will Smith was not the problem with that movie.
See, and I cannot bring myself to fucking watch that movie. I hate Jared Leto with such a passion, and I hate that they revamped Harley Quinn's origin. Only because, like, I'm fine with you changing characters and rebooting characters and shit like that, but something very quintessential to Harley is how, like, the psychiatrist being broken down by the psychopath. And if you're gonna take, from what I read about it, that they took it away and they just gave her daddy issues, is that what they did with the movie? Because that's what I read that they did.
Pretty much.
I like that alone made me not want to watch the movie. And then on top of that, to know that Jared Leto was Joker, fuck you, you're not Joker. I do not care. There's no way that man portrayed Joker well.
Let me tell you something else. Apparently, they're doing a Harley Quinn and Joker movie, and with Margot and Leto as like
they better recast Joker.
Bonnie and Clyde. It said, you know what they said it was? You're gonna laugh at this. Apparently, they're writing a script, and it's supposed to be Bonnie and Clyde meets This Is Us.
Oh, I saw that somewhere. Fuck you guys. Don't do that shit to us. Like, seriously, I'm really partial to Harley. I mean, the Batman the Animated Series was still to this day one of my favorite, adaptations of Batman. Mm-hmm. Harley Quinn coming from that and everything about her, I just fucking adore her. I don't like when they go totally off the rails with her. She is one of those characters that I do kind of feel precious about, but I also understand, like, if you revamp her, then that one's not my Harley or whatever. But this fucking shit is the Harley that the world is getting to see, including the people who don't read books, and they're gonna think that that's her, and I don't want her. I don't want her to have that rep. Right. Like, I don't want her to be that kind of... Oh, God, don't do that. Come on. Don't give me that movie. I don't want to see that movie. No, I can't.
Mike, did you see what Chris Evans wrote on Twitter?
Yeah.
Officially wrapped on Avengers 4 was an emotional day, to say the least. Playing this role over the last 8 years has been an honor to everyone in front of the camera, behind the camera, and in the audience. Thank you for the memories. Eternally grateful. So people take this as Chris Evans stepping down from Captain America. And I love Chris Evans. I love his version of Captain America.
I think he's fucking with us.
I don't. Because he previously talked about it. The New York Times, they asked him about this, and he said, you want to get off the train before they push you off the train.
Yeah, he sounds tired.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he probably wants to do some other things.
But the thing is, I'm fine with it. Like, bye. It's fine. I mean, I love Chris Evans. I love his Cap, but Cap is not my favorite character or anything in the Marvel universe. Cap has to die, though. They can't retire him without him dying. It makes no sense for the Chris Evans version of Cap to walk around this planet and not take the call whenever it comes, so they're gonna have to kill him if they're gonna retire him, and I'm fine with that. In fact, that's what I wanted from the part 1 of Infinity Wars, but like, make way for Black Panther to be the lead of the Avengers for the next foreseeable
he's not
few years.
Be the lead. Captain Marvel is going to be the lead.
I know, but that's not what I want. What I want is
Black Panther to be the lead.
I want the new Trinity to be Black Panther, Captain Marvel, and I mean, if I had my druthers, I would want it to be Riri, Black Panther, and Captain Marvel. But I kind of want Shuri in the movies to become Riri, if that makes sense, because she can't take on the Black Panther mantle if we still have T'Challa. Mm-hmm. So that's my little weird fantasy thing, but I know that's not going to happen.
People talked about that happen, but Kevin Feige said that at some point Riri will be in the movies somewhere down the road. They're also talking about doing Kamala Khan, which a lot of people are excited about.
I heard that Mindy Kaling is pushing for it, and I mean, I like her, but I don't know.
I don't see Mindy as that. She's too old.
She's too old, but also she's not a good actress.
Yeah, she's not that great. And Kamala Khan's like 13, 14. Like, you can find a Muslim girl to play the character. I don't think that's too difficult for them. Ryan Reynolds said, "I'm not crying, I'm weeping." That's the difference. The Rock says, "What a run you had, brother. Congrats on breathing life into such an iconic character. Keep on keeping on." So, yeah. I mean, he was great as Captain America. He seems to be a pretty good dude in real life, too. So, yeah.
I think it makes sense to retire him while he's on top. Like he says, get off the train before they push you out. What you don't want is having this run of a really great Cap, and then all of a sudden he sucks because he's aging out or whatever. Like, I'm happy with them retiring him out. I just hope that they kill him to do it.
Mm-hmm. Mike, did you see, and Sharmane, did you see that apparently James Gunn's going to be writing Suicide Squad 2?
Yes.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, and I said this when it happened. I did not feel too bad for James Gunn because I did think that there are people who've done worse shit than what he did.
Sure.
But he still did that, and sometimes you gotta suffer consequences for your actions. However, Bryan Singer is accused of actually doing pedophilia stuff. Woody Allen has actually done pedophilia stuff, and they were allowed to continue to make movies. So I always knew that all James Gunn did was make some jokes. Now, I'm not belittling, but in context, all James Gunn did was make some jokes about that, some off taste, off kilter jokes about that. So I said it at the time on the show that James Gunn's going to be fine. He'll get another shot. He's not going to get canceled. No one gets canceled, but he's not going to get canceled.
But I think this is good for the DCEU.
If you think so, if we take that part out of it and we just look at it from a creative perspective, it is a good thing for the DCEU if they stay out of his way. See, the difference is DC has been not even DC, Warner Brothers has been heavily involved with the DCEU, and I think they're a big part of why it's had so little success.
I agree.
But him doing a Suicide Squad movie in a vacuum actually sounds like a lot of fun to me. So
if they could just forget that the previous movie existed and start it from scratch, with James Gunn on the creative tip, I'd be down.
Yep.
I honestly think they might do something maybe like a soft reboot where it's they have some of the original cast but not everybody.
Yeah.
And they do something a little different.
Give us a better Joker.
Yeah, so apparently they're thinking about hiring him to write it and direct it. My thing with James Gunn is, even after those tweets, he seemed to learn. Even before the shit came out, he addressed this in the past and talked about how he made dumb choices and they were bad decisions at a point in his life where he wasn't around diverse people and he didn't understand different cultures. And this was before all this shit came out. So from I don't ever know with a straight white male how good or bad of a person they are. But from all accounts, he seemed to become a much better person. So, the problem with so many things is people are everybody should get a second chance. But you only really should get a second chance when you deserve it. You do.
Right. It depends on what the first chance was.
Right.
Raping children, no. Right. But joking about it. I mean, I got a dark sense of humor, too. I know I've said some shit in real life that if I ever tweeted would come back to haunt me.
Exactly.
I definitely have.
And and not only that, but and you put in some type of work. You show that you're trying to be a better person. And that means, I don't really boycott anything, honestly. But I'm not going to be the type of person that boycotts this film. If he does this, I'll go see the film. I'm not.
He's not the kind. He's not the level that I would boycott. No. So, an example would be Louis C.K., someone that I absolutely loved for years, but knowing what I now know, I can't watch him without that association.
But Louis C.K. is even worse because after everything came out, he
didn't apologize.
He made this first statement talking about I was absolutely wrong. I did those things. It was fucked up. Blah 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 blah. And then I just saw an article a few weeks ago that. He was doing some more fuck shit recently, talking about it,
oh, really?
Making jokes about it or something like that. His first set, and I'm clearly you didn't learn shit. You didn't learn shit.
Well, also when he came out to acknowledge what he had done, what he said is, if the women were offended by what I did, then I am sorry. And let me tell you that is not a fucking apology. You should You should apologize for doing fucked up shit and mean it. You shouldn't apologize only if somebody is offended. Correct. So number one, that angers me. Number two, you haven't done anything in service of the women whose careers you destroyed in doing this and then blacklisting them. And so, no, you don't get a second chance to your career. I don't need you. Plus, you're so rich right now. The only thing is that you don't get to do what you want to do anymore. It's not like you're going to suffer or be in the poorhouse or anything like that. And if that's true, that his jokes when he's coming back on stage are related to that shit, then fuck you all the way. Just all the way fuck you. But with James Gunn, I have this mixed feeling because his jokes were pretty gross and stuff. But again, like I said, I have a dark sense of humor. I've said some fucked up shit. My husband has a dark sense of humor. Together, our powers combined, we could probably end our careers if we tweeted what we say sometimes. But we're joking in the privacy of our own home. James Gunn, he hasn't tweeted since his acknowledgement and apology, and it did seem like a real apology. It was like, look, absolutely. Like you said, I learned. I'm trying to improve myself. I mean, I'm sure there's things about him that are gross because there's things about everybody that are gross. But it doesn't strike me as the level of stuff like for him to be punished as hard as he was by the Marvel Universe compared to a Woody Allen or a Louis C.K. or any of these other fuckers that are out there right now. It doesn't seem right. And I am upset that the Guardians trilogy isn't gonna wrap with James, because I think what he did for that obscure ass book was so amazing. If he can bring that same magic to Suicide Squad, I definitely would be more on board. My hatred of Jared Leto trumps everything else that happens with the Suicide Squad, so I don't know if I'd see it, but I wouldn't be opposed to seeing it based off of James Gunn, if that makes sense.
Yep. So,
but the Batista that's some stuff.
That's what I was about to say. Dave Batista cannot be serious right now. Like, is he this stupid that he's gonna fuck up this Marvel money to go?
Man, he is a ride or die bitch. Like, I don't understand I don't understand the love affair that deep that you're willing to just like throw a middle finger up at Marvel. Like, I understand being mad. But,
well, I get it to an extent. I mean, because Dave Batista was a pro wrestler who got out of pro wrestling and turned to acting. And this dude gave him his first break. Like, Dave Batista's been in so many movies since Guardians of the Galaxy, and he's continuing to get roles. And in his mind, he owes all of it to James Gunn taking a chance on him as Drax. And he's done a good job at Drax, like a very good job.
He does. He's great at it.
In his mind, none of his life would be possible right now without James Gunn. So I get it. I get why you would ride for somebody like that. I get it. But listen, man, you really want to go jump on that ship do you really want to take your chance as Bane in the DCEU when you have this perfect role? Like, this role is, it's like, I cannot picture anybody else as Drax right now.
I can't either. It's such a good role for
him. What do you think, Mike?
I mean,
if you were Dave Batista, would you give up Drax to go be Bane?
Well, see, you're asking me, a very diehard Batman fan. I feel like I shouldn't answer that question. But I'm
you
saying...
have to recuse yourself.
I have to recuse myself. But I think he's just... I mean, I get his loyalty, though. Like, it's kind of nice in some... You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I mean, what is he going to do after Infinity War anyway? You know what I mean? Like, what's left for Drax anyway? Like, he's kind of done with Drax.
That's fair, but
no, they're making in Guardians 3.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure. Well, his contract, he's gonna have to probably do Guardians 3. But after that, what's left for Drax?
Another Guardians movie, another Avengers movie. He could have I don't think he could carry a solo film, but he could have a buddy cop film with somebody. Like, there's infinite things you can do. All them damn films DC announced that are ridiculous. You think you can't come up with something for Dave? I think after he's done playing Drax, okay, that's fine.
I'm not mad at anybody going to the DC universe after if their character is done. I'm not mad at that, and I'm not even mad about him of all people being Bane. We have yet to see a Bane in live action that matches any version of Bane that we've had in the comics. And like I said, Tom Hardy is my Caucasian of choice, so like I'm partial to Tom Hardy, and even though that Bane wasn't Bane, I just think of him as a different character that happened to be called Bane. I don't connect it to the Bane that I know, if that makes sense.
I agree.
So like I'm fine with him playing that character, but I feel like we do need to resolve this Guardians thing first. It would be weird for him to go both ways. And the thing is, they're probably not going to even have him talk that much if he is Bane.
Yeah, I agree.
He's just going to be garbly. It's fine. It's fine. I'll be fine with it. Like, yeah, it's fine.
Bane should probably be a Latino. It's an accent.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he was
what is he? Is he white? He might not be. I can't tell.
Dave Batista is white, yes. He's from Washington, D.C., by the way, too, Mike, in case you didn't know.
Oh, I did not know that.
Mm-hmm. So here's why Marvel Studios is significantly better than DC/Warner Brothers. So Ant-Man and the Wasp director says they discussed making Janet Van Dyne a villain. So Marvel probably saw that and said, "What the fuck are you doing? You're not making Janet Van Dyne a villain. Get the fuck out of here. This is stupid." And they didn't do it. DC would have saw that and been like, "That's surprising. You'll trick people. They'll never see it coming." And people would have hated it.
Is that necessary?
That's what would have happened. That's exactly what would have happened. So yeah, good for them. Making a decision like that. See what else we got here. They're making a Harriet Tubman biopic. Did you see that, Sharmane?
I did. Well, I've known about it for a while. It's being produced by Jordan Peele, right?
Yep. That is, and the script is directed by Casey Lemons from a script the latter co-wrote Gregory Allen Howard. He wrote Remember the Titans and Ali.
I kind of want them to do it like she's a superhero.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But I kind of do. The actress that they're picking for her too.
Cynthia Erivo.
I'm not super familiar with her, but I have seen her in something recently, and I thought she was pretty good. So it'll be interesting.
I think it'll be good. You know who I picked? Who I thought would be the best Harriet Tubman is my girl. Why the fuck did it just slip my head? From How to Get Away with Murder. Viola Davis.
Viola Davis. Well, I would actually picture Octavia.
Oh yeah, Octavia. Yeah, Octavia.
I would picture her for like older, the older version of her or whatever. But either of those actresses have the chops for it. Here's my thing. This is mixed black girl perspective thing. I'm happy to have like a female lead, strong black woman role movie out there. Like the more we get of those, I will gobble those movies up. But I also have this feeling about anything that's slave era or even like the Emmett Till movie that's coming up and stuff like that. I have feelings about this trauma porn of our history as Black Americans, like that, because, to do a period piece, you can't avoid those things. But I wish we could just have movies of Black people living regular lives that isn't about Black trauma.
Yeah, that's
so.
true.
I hope that they can kind of tell this story through all of the good that she did, even though there's going to be tragedy and things like that, where the focus isn't on the trauma, like the trauma porn of it all. Like 12 Years a Slave, watching Lupita Nyong'o get beat like that, all that kind of stuff. Like I'm so worn down by seeing movies like that I hope that they can, not to whitewash it in any way, but to focus on like, her strong spirit and all the things that she had to go through to make this happen, to save all these people, and that's more the focus than just like watching Black bodies get beat the fuck up on screen all the time by white people.
That's real.
If that makes sense.
yeah, absolutely. Venom did well in the box office, apparently.
Yep.
So people, but BVS did well in the box office too. After initial estimates, Venom had eyeballing $860 million plus opening. It's expected to pretty marvelous $80 million opening. So that's pretty good. Stars Born made $42.2 million, which is a very good film, by the way. So yeah, the movie wasn't good, but it made a lot of money. So good for them. They'll probably.
But it was going to make a lot of money, even if it wasn't.
Right.
Like a comic book movie nowadays. Their opening weekends are going to be strong. I'm
far more interested in the sequel than this film, especially with Woody Harrelson as Carnage. Sign me up for that. But yeah.
Yeah, I was interested. I heard you guys' last show when you talked about it, and I was interested about why Woody Harrelson was so perfectly casted for that. Because I've also seen that written in a lot of the forums and stuff like that, where people are just like, the best thing about Venom was seeing Woody Harrelson as Carnage.
Because he plays a crazy person so good. You seen Natural Born Killers, right?
Yeah, but I was really young when I watched it, and I like Woody Harrelson a lot, but I associate Woody Harrelson with goofy white guy Woody Harrelson. I don't like. I have a really hard time taking him serious when he does those like crazy or criminal type roles. I thought his scene in Venom was great, but and my husband feels kind of the same. Like my husband, when he sees Woody Harrelson, he thinks of like White Man Can't Jump and Woody from Cheers. So like when he plays other characters, like the guy in the Planet of the Apes movie, or the guy in Seven Psychopaths, like.
Did you see True Detective?
You just see. No, I didn't want. I don't like. All right. I can't watch that guy. I can't watch
McConaughey.
Yeah, and the other part too is I used to live in Austin, and I worked at the film festival, and he was a presence in Austin, and it's just like
I'm so jealous of you.
The amount of people that are on his dick when he is just so talentless, I can't. Even his entourage is like obnoxious as fuck, and so I can't separate. In some cases, not everybody, but like in some cases, that's one I can't separate from just the piece of shit that he is as a person.
I'm trying so hard right now to move to Austin or LA.
Austin's great.
I'm so jealous.
It really is.
And I fucking love Austin. My dream is to work at University of Texas for some reason. I have no idea.
We live there because that's where my husband went to school, and I mean, every night of the week you can see any kind of music that you can dream up. I'm walking down 6th Street, we saw German hip hop, which was pretty crazy and weird. Like Japanese heavy metal. I saw all of my favorite. Like I'm an old school hip hop girl, so I saw De La Soul. I saw Guru from Gangstar. I saw almost every member of Wu-Tang, but not together. And like part of like Tribe when they were kind of together again, and then not, stuff like that. So like you can see anything, and seeing big acts in small venues that are on 6th Street is fucking amazing. There's no other way to do it. It's great. You'd love it if you can make it happen. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, I'm trying really.
I didn't appreciate it while I was there, but in hindsight, I really do love that town.
Mike, did you see that they're making a Mega Man movie?
Yeah, I never was really attached to Mega Man. I don't care about it. I mean, I can do whatever.
Mega Man is back in your day, Sharmane.
I know. I just said, how dare you, sir?
So,
Mega
Sharmane,
Man is the shit.
Will you be going to see a Mega Man film?
Is it live action?
Mega Man is poised to finally make a jump from the 8-bit to the silver screen. Capcom today announced it's producing a live action adaptation of Mega Man.
I don't know how I feel about that. Like, it's so grounded in that 8-bit world. Like, okay, first of all, who could even play him? I don't know.
I don't know who plays Mega Man. That is an excellent question.
Like, I think little girl Sharmane would be like, yay, but like 40-year-old Sharmane is like, I don't know. I have no idea how I feel about this. Because okay, so I hated when they did the American version of, well, the American version they call Astro Boy, but in Japanese he's called his name is Tetsuwan, the Mighty Atom. And I fucking love Tetsuwan, the Mighty Atom. I still have a doll that I kind of sleep with sometimes because of Mighty Atom, and I love him. And I hated when they converted him to Astro Boy, and I hated seeing the animation that they chose for his movie, so I refused to see it. Mega Man would be kind of on par with that. Like I would have to see the first like sketches to see what they're gonna do for me to be okay with it. I mean, I would love the idea of it if it worked out, but if it doesn't, which I feel like it probably won't, I don't know. I have no idea who could play him to satisfaction.
Okay, so you and Mike are both iffy on the Mega Man. All right, okay.
But I'm excited for people to learn about Mega Man who don't know about Mega Man.
I didn't even know Mega Man had a story. I don't know shit about that story.
I mean, to be fair, yeah, I guess. Like, we just watched him walk across the screen and shooting shit with his arm growing up on, when he played him on Nintendo, or was he on Sega? Was his game on Sega? I think it might have been on Sega Genesis or something.
Yeah, all of that.
Yeah, I know. There was a Mega Man cartoon, like a Japanese cartoon that I loved when I was little, too.
Do you watch anime?
Not as much now as I used to, but like I like a lot of the older anime. I haven't gotten into a lot of the stuff that the kids are watching these days. Like I liked Bleach when it was first out. I I have one that I really love called Dragon Half. She's half dragon, half person, which is, awesome. And then like, Voltron and
Mike loves Voltron.
all, the things that were big in the 80s were the ones that I was really into. There's a few Yoko Dragon Hunter and stuff like that I was really into, but I don't watch anything modern, like new, anything right now.
Sharmane, did you hear about The Rock playing John Henry?
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I'm cool with The Rock playing characters that are Black-ish. As a mixed race person, it's tough. Like, we don't have a whole lot of famous mixed race stories, so someone's got to do it. And he's super famous, so yeah, I guess I get, and he's super masculine and super buff and stuff, so I get why he would be tapped for it.
I think there's a lot of people upset because
it's not full black.
No, it's not even that. It's that he kind of like never, because the thing is, like, a lot of people, when you're mixed with your darker skin, you're black to the world,
right?
But The Rock kind of portrays himself as like other, I guess you could say it. Like, he
kind of focuses on like the Pacific Islander of it all.
Yeah, but he, like, even in the movies, like, or anything, he just, he never has a black love interest. He
does always have black kids though.
Or mixed race kids, yeah.
Or mixed kids, yeah.
But he's always just like, he always is portrayed as like this racial ambiguous person. Yeah. So people are kind of upset because they're basically like, if you like accepted or portrayed yourself as your black side or your blackness more, then that's fine. But to play like a black folk hero,
that's the issue.
Yeah, and you don't even really like,
What makes me nervous about it is the colorism aspect of it. Like, the John Henry, that story is we're talking about a time period, which, yeah, it's not like it would have been impossible for him to be mixed race if he was, but that's not the information that we have. Plus, there's a whole legend portion. Like, I don't know. It makes sense that you would get a dark-skinned, muscular person to play that role, and there's nobody super famous right now that necessarily would probably be tapped for it. I don't know, but I agree. Like, I mean, especially as a mixed race person, like, I live my full mixed picture as much as I can. Like, I mostly identify with the black side, even though I present very racially ambiguous. Black people can usually tell. Most other people can't. Usually people think I'm Dominican or Puerto Rican or Filipino. I don't, no one ever guesses what I am. Like, no one's ever going to walk up and be like, hey, are you a quarter black, a quarter Japanese, and half white? Like, that never happens. And so as a mixed race person, I'm sensitive to, living my mixed, personality, like telling you I'm mixed and everything and like that, not necessarily trying to take the role. Like, I would never audition for a role that is considered like a black role because I wouldn't be appropriate for it. Like, I know there's no place for me in Wakanda. It's sealed, but I love Wakanda and I'll support it from outside the bubble. So yeah, with him playing this character, like, I feel like I get it, but at the same time, like you said, because he doesn't walk around in his blackness and he usually just kind of promotes the sort of Pacific Islander side of him, it does seem kind of weird that all of a sudden he wants to do this, but I don't know his motivation behind it too.
Right.
If it's lending his fame to a story like this, yeah, maybe, but he could have produced it and right. Put up someone like Trevante or something, another
coming, actor.
Yeah, like I don't know. I think it would have worked better that way. Yeah, he's a strange one for me. I do like him. I like his personality and stuff like that. But as a mixed person, like, I wish he was living his mixedness more.
I agree.
It would help us out trying to get representation and stuff like that.
Mike, you got anything else for us this week?
I can't think of anything. I think that covers it for me.
Sharmane, what do you got coming up on the podcast this week?
I'm waiting for Blurred Vision to see Venom so that we can do our little movie review version of it this weekend. And today I released an episode on Militantly Mixed that I'm super excited about. My guest was Sonia Smith King. She is the creator of the Mixed Up clothing line, which is a clothing line for mixed race children. It'll be like an Asian top, but with a Mexican print or something like that. It's like mixing cultures, and then it comes with a little story associated with every article of clothing to kind of teach people about multiracial people. And she also was the reason why there's a mixed race heritage day at the Dodger Stadium, and they're trying to push it across all stadiums, or however many sports that they can pick up. And she was awesome to talk to. So that was on today. I still haven't decided I have like 10 episodes banked, so I have to go through my episodes and figure out who I'm gonna have next week for Militantly Mixed. But yeah, we'll probably do a Venom review, and yeah, but I just love talking about mixed race shit. So anybody who's listening, if you don't listen to my show, and then come on my show and talk to me about being mixed.
Yes, go listen to the show. And thank you so much for coming on our show. Like, this was awesome.
Yeah, this was fun.
I love talking comics and shit with people, and I'm surprised I haven't done it as much on my own shows as I have with you guys so far.
Yeah, get back into the books. They're especially Marvel is really good now. DC's good too in a different way. But Marvel is like really hitting on all cylinders.
Yeah, I have like certain books that I've gotten on digital just because I'm too lazy to leave my house. But
yeah, I do mostly digital, honestly.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
What you saying,
I like
Mike?
going to a book. I like going to a store.
Yeah, I get the hard copies of most of them. I just like, having I like the art and stuff. I bought a like magazine spinner rack for my room where I put all my best ones. And
Are you serious?
Yeah, it looks really. I thought it was gonna be dumb, but it actually looks really good. I'm not gonna lie. Brandon, if you got a lot, or if anyone has a lot, I recommend. They're not even that expensive on Amazon, but it looks really good.
Awesome.
And like I put all the ones with my favorite covers up and like some of my favorite books, so it looks cool.
Nice. Oh, here's some geeky shit. It didn't happen this week, but I did hang it this week. If that helps. A couple months ago, someone sent me a Japanese version of the Black Panther poster. It's a mini poster, and to this day, no one's claimed who sent it to me. It's just still a mystery. But I got it framed in black and purple matting, and the shit looks amazing. My husband finally hung it for me above my desk. So yeah, I have I have a Black Panther poster on my wall from Japan that's framed and looks hot as shit.
Oh, that's dope. All right. So definitely go check out Sharmane on a Militantly Mixed and Militantly Mixed Black as Fuck podcast. Go listen. It's a really good show. Everything she talked about today, like a lot of the stuff she talks about on the show, and then a lot more serious shit than we talk about as well. But that's, great too, because I like to talk about that just not on here. If you follow me on Twitter, I talk about this shit nonstop. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, anywhere you get your podcasts at, Spotify. Mike will be back with Devin. We'll be doing The Gifted sometime this weekend, whenever I can watch it. I'm holding us back this time, so that's on me. So we will be back soon. Thank you guys for listening. And
Thanks
I'm going to play
the
other version of Shawn Michaels' song to go out.